Hi, this is Colleen McGee welcoming you to episode 101 of Fort Riley, the podcast. Today, we're talking about being prepared in an emergency and specifically about being prepared with your pets.
So, Jeremiah Wisdom, I'm a lieutenant with Fort Riley Fire at Station 4, and I'm gaining work experience with Chris Hallenbeck in the emergency management field.
And so you're here to talk today to us about things that we need to think about with our pets, because we often plan for our families, right? But we don't often include those fur babies that have become a big part of our life. So walk us through some of the pre-disaster thought process that would help us protect our pets.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we always preach in emergency management is building a plan. And a lot of the times, just as you said, when we make plans, we forget about the furry friends with us. And we will make a plan for our family and forget that they are also the pets that we have special needs and considerations. So when we say make a plan of care. If you have to leave, the first thing is, can you take your pet somewhere? Is there a local boarding place or the vet's office or friends and relatives? So if the home that you're in is damaged, but maybe you have friends in nearby that are not, are they able to take your pets in? So that would be the first one, is in your preparedness is reach out to your resources around you to see if you don't have to take your pet somewhere, or with you, you can drop them off or have them there with someone that you know.
So I have a question with that. One of the things that we are unfortunately prone to is tornadoes.
Right.
And so that requires a rapid response, and we don't know if our home is going to be damaged at that point. What do you tell folks about when we have to go seek a shelter someplace? What do you do with those pets?
That's a great question, actually. One of the things that brought this up is we were talking about housing pets with us in shelters and the issues that may come up with that. And one of them is we tend to forget that our pets get stressed as well. And when we're in a shelter, if we have to hurry up, it is stressful for everyone, but it's also stressful for the animal. So sometimes when we do hurry up and grab our family and our pets, that we'll forget comfort items. So when we say build a plan, if there is severe weather warnings and watches, if you have a pet carrier, inside the pet carrier, keep some spare blankets and some spare comfort items for your pet. That way, in the case of a tornado or a direct impact of the severe weather, we can quickly place our pet in the carrier, and then all of the things are with it. If, unfortunately, the house is impacted, in that carrier, you can tape to the outside a clear document holder, and then medical records, shot records, chip information, all go into that. That way it's just one thing that you have to grab. That way we're not overly stressed out. Any spare things that you would need for your pet, keep it near where you would keep the kennel to avoid missing those key items.
What are some resources that you know of on and around Fort Riley for support to families with pets?
So in our area, luckily we have very good preparedness plans for animals. Through K-State has one. I know the vet's office here on post has resources on how to build a pet kit. If you go to ready.gov/pet preparedness, they have a small list of items that should be included. So one of the things that we have is the build a kit plan, and of course food is one. Medicine, especially if it's something for daily use, a backup collar and leash. That is a huge one, because typically, even at my house, I have 2 large dogs, and my collar and leash are by the door, because that's when we go out to walk. Well, the carrier is downstairs. So if I had to run downstairs, I don't want to run back upstairs if I have to shelter to grab that leash and collar. And then now I can't let my dog roam free because I have no way to hold him back. Also, grooming, special grooming things, shampoos and things like that. If your dog has sensitive skin or your cat has some sensitive sanitation needs, that is one of those things in the event of an extended duration. And then obviously toys, blanket for comfort item, and then cleanup. So extra bags, wipes, things like that. Puppy pads for the smaller dogs. Having a spare cache of that is just good practice anyway. But in the event that we have to go to a different facility, you may not have as much freedom to allow your pets to go out. So having something like that is really courteous, especially if you have to share the space.
So what have we not talked about when it comes to pets and preparedness?
One of the things that we tend to miss is staying informed, especially in the time frame from early April to even late August is our severe weather season, whether it's tornadoes, the large wind events that we had, but it extends past that. You have wildland fires, as we've seen this year, have been going crazy, and then in the wintertime we have ice storms and things like that where we can knock power out. So one of the best defenses for things like that is information. And I know we have the Fort Riley app, which has constant updates and things like that. Our social media pages, the Fort Riley page, it's important to have that and to be monitoring it as well. You can also have weather radios. Those are typically not tied to any internet and battery powered. So if there is an event and the power gets knocked out, then you'll have a way to understand where the storm is and when it's clear. And then, of course, in the local areas, we have a messaging system. And in the event of large-scale events, watch your phones for text messages in these stressful weather events, because that's where all the information for the public will be. And there'll be mass notification systems as well. So it's just important to understand that the information may not be coming in traditional means if the infrastructure is damaged. But
I do appreciate you bringing up the app. We call it Digital Garrison, and it actually transitions from installation to installation. So if someone has come from a different installation, they just go into Digital Garrison and change their location, and they can set it up to actually receive the notifications. And our office will put out information that will usually echo what the weather service is sending out and what our Fort Riley Operations Center sends out in the event of an emergency. So thank you for mentioning that.
Well, it's a really important tool, especially from the standpoint of the transient community. They may come from somewhere where tornadoes are not very common. So that is one of the things that we do worry about is the first year Kansan transplant. They may not be prepared for some of our severe weather events. And if you can maintain one app where it gives you the information as readily as everybody else has it, it really helps the families out to be able to plan their next moves and whatnot.
In the event of a natural or man-made disaster or whatever where we have to shelter in sheltering facilities, a lot of our facilities have plans in place for pets. So I think it's probably important to make sure you know where your shelters are and which ones those are that have those pets, so that you're not going from place to find a place for your entire family.
Absolutely. And that's one of the, to harp back on the public information side of that, is that's when it's important to keep up with the social media pages and the app if you have it, or be watching for the text messages as they come in, because your local shelter center may change if they are also impacted by a disaster.
Okay, so One of the other places you can find a lot of preparedness information is at home.army.mil/Riley, and use the search feature to find the Ready Army.
Yeah, ready.gov, Ready Army. I think the links go to both sides, and they just have your general resources and pet plans and also plans for your entire family.
Thank you for listening to Fort Riley, the podcast.